Matthew Schneck. I teach social studies at East Village High School in San Diego, California. And so just like parents, my biggest concern is student safety. I am so excited to return to see kids' faces instead of black boxes on a screen. But as the only adult in the room, I have to ensure that not only are my students learning both at home and at school, but that I do everything within my power to keep kids safe. So that means I have to make sure kids stay distanced, that they keep their masks on, that I keep my classroom well ventilated. And so all this week, teachers have been going onto campus in my district to prepare for the return of kids in just a few weeks, measuring out desks, ensuring that we're ready when the kids arrive. That's because we want to ensure that when kids come into our rooms, they're going to be well cared for. Throughout the last year, I've had dozens of students tell me about how COVID has traumatized their families. When you have many kids that live in multi-generational households with so many parents being essential workers, it affects every member of that household. I still check in weekly with a student who is struggling with his grief after the loss of his grandfather, his abuelo. All 8 members of his household contracted the virus, and COVID took just one. It has left him struggling to complete his schoolwork. So I asked him if he might plan to return to in-person instruction. And he wanted to know what we are doing to keep things safe. That was the first thing on this high school student's mind. And so I went over the safety guidelines. Your teachers are vaccinated, and there's evidence that that can reduce the transmission of the virus. We have air purifiers to ensure adequate ventilation since COVID is airborne. We have masks for students and staff, daily symptom checks, surveillance testing for all students, since we know that many kids are asymptomatic and or present asymptomatically. And we need to know if COVID, if there are outbreaks in our schools. Our desks are distanced by 5 or 6 feet. Teachers are doing everything in our power to keep kids safe by working with our unions to get these safety measures into our contracts. And then we have to make sure that districts provide the safety measures they promised and are held accountable. So as we've long said, teacher working conditions are also students' learning conditions. We all have a responsibility to work together to keep our kids safe.